Instigate. Definition: to provoke, incite, or initiate something, especially an action or event, often in a negative or controversial way. Synonyms: provoke, incite, spur. Real-life example: a journalist's investigative report instigated a national debate on government corruption, leading to policy changes and public protests. Hyped up. Definition: overly excited, energized, or stimulated, often due to anticipation or external influences like caffeine or media attention. Synonyms: overexcited, amped up, energized. Real-life example: the crowd was hyped up before the concert, cheering loudly as they waited for their favorite band to take the stage. Wells. Definition: noun, a deep hole or structure created to access water, oil, or gas from underground. Verb, to rise up or flow, often referring to emotions or liquids. Synonyms for the noun meaning: spring, reservoir, borehole. Real-life example: villagers rely on a well for clean drinking water, drawing it up with a bucket every morning. Pilgrimage. Definition: a journey, often long and meaningful, made to a sacred or significant place for religious, spiritual, or personal reasons. Synonyms: journey, quest, expedition. Real-life example: every year, millions of Muslims undertake the pilgrimage to Mecca, known as Hajj, as a religious obligation. Expedition. Definition: a journey or voyage undertaken for a specific purpose, often for exploration, research, or adventure. Synonyms: voyage, quest, exploration. Real-life example: a team of scientists embarked on an expedition to Antarctica to study climate change and its impact on polar ice. Misogynist. Definition: a person who dislikes, despises, or is prejudiced against women. Synonyms: woman hater, chauvinist, sexist. Real-life example: the politician was criticized as a misogynist after making derogatory remarks about women in leadership positions. Exonerate. Definition: to officially clear someone from blame, guilt, or responsibility, especially after they have been accused of wrongdoing. Synonyms: acquit, vindicate, absolve. Real-life example: after spending 10 years in prison for a crime he didn't commit, new DNA evidence exonerated the man, leading to his immediate release. Due process. Definition: a legal principle that ensures fair treatment through the judicial system, protecting individuals from arbitrary denial of life, liberty, or property. Synonyms: fair trial, legal procedure, justice system. Real-life example: before being sentenced, the defendant was given due process, including the right to an attorney and a fair hearing in court. Square meals. Definition: a full, well-balanced meal that provides proper nutrition. Synonyms: nutritious meal, wholesome meal, balanced diet. Real-life example: during his military training, he was provided with 3 square meals a day to keep him energized and healthy. Condescending. Definition: acting in a way that shows a sense of superiority, as if one is better or smarter than others, talking down to someone. Synonyms: patronizing, arrogant, snobbish. Real-life example: her condescending tone during the meeting made her coworkers feel belittled and unappreciated. Boomer. Definition: originally, boomer refers to someone born during the post-World War II baby boom, approximately 1946 to 1964. Informally, it's also used, often humorously or sarcastically, to describe older people who are seen as out of touch with modern ideas or technology. Synonyms, informal sense: old-timer, traditionalist, fossil, slang, humorous or rude. Real-life example: when he complained about smartphones ruining conversations, his nephew laughed and said, "Okay, boomer," poking fun at his old-fashioned views. Fair enough. Definition: A phrase used to express acceptance, understanding, or agreement, especially when you may not completely agree but respect the other person's point. Synonyms. That's reasonable. I get it. Makes sense. Real-life example. A. I can't join you tonight. I've got a deadline to meet. B. Fair enough, we'll catch up another time. To be featured. Definition. To be highlighted, showcased, or given special attention in a publication, program, event, or platform. Synonyms. Spotlighted. Showcased. Presented. Real-life example. Her artwork was featured in a national magazine, bringing her instant recognition in the art community. Animated. Definition. Adjective. General, full of life, energy, or excitement. Adjective. Media, made using animation techniques, like cartoons or computer graphics. Synonyms for the energetic meaning. Lively. Enthusiastic. Vibrant. Real-life example. The speaker was so animated during his presentation that the audience stayed fully engaged from start to finish. Exonerated. Definition. Cleared from blame or proven innocent, especially after being accused of a crime or wrongdoing. It's the past tense of exonerate. Synonyms. Acquitted. Absolved. Cleared. Real-life example. After a thorough investigation, the wrongly accused teacher was exonerated and returned to work with her reputation restored. Catch up. Definition. To reach the same level or position as someone or something, either in progress, information, or physical location. It can also mean reconnecting and sharing updates with someone after time apart. Synonyms. Get up to speed. Reconnect. Update. Real-life example. After being away on vacation, she stayed late at work to catch up on all her missed emails and tasks. Full throttle. Definition. At maximum speed, effort, or intensity, doing something with full force and energy. Synonyms. All out. Maximum effort. Flat out. Real-life example. As the deadline approached, the team worked full throttle to finish the project on time. Ripped off. Definition. To be cheated, overcharged, or scammed, especially by paying too much for something of low value or receiving unfair treatment. Synonyms. Cheated. Scammed. Overcharged. Real-life example. He felt ripped off after paying $100 for a phone charger that broke the next day. Purring in. The phrase purring in is not a common idiom by itself, but it may be a variation or mistaken version of something like purring or pulling in. Here's how it could be interpreted depending on context. If you meant purring used with in as part of movement. Definition. Making a soft, continuous, vibrating sound, like a cat or describing a machine, especially a car running smoothly and quietly. So, purring in might describe a smooth, quiet arrival. Synonyms. Humming, whirring, idling softly. Real-life example. The sports car purred into the driveway so quietly that no one noticed until the engine stopped. Pouring in. Definition. Coming in large amounts or numbers, often quickly and continuously. It can refer to things like people, rain, messages, or money. Synonyms. Flooding in. Streaming in. Rushing in. Real-life example. After the charity appeal went viral, donations started pouring in from all over the world. Briefing. Definition. A short meeting or document that provides essential information or instructions, especially before an event or task. Synonyms. Update. Overview. Orientation. Real-life example. Before the mission, the soldiers received a detailed briefing about their objectives and safety protocols. Deregulation. Definition. The removal or reduction of government rules and controls over an industry or sector, often to encourage competition and efficiency. Synonyms. Liberalization. Market opening. Relaxation of rules. Real-life example. The deregulation of the airline industry in the 1970s led to lower fares and more flight options for passengers. Just get started. Definition. A motivational phrase encouraging someone to begin a task or project without overthinking or waiting for perfect conditions. Synonyms. Take the first step. Jump in. Begin now. Real-life example. He kept waiting for the right time to launch his business until his mentor told him, "Just get started. You'll learn along the way." Auspices. Definition. Support, guidance, or patronage, especially from an organization, authority, or influential figure. It's often used in the phrase "under the auspices of," meaning something is done with the backing or supervision of someone. Synonyms. Sponsorship, patronage, supervision. Real-life example. The international conference was held under the auspices of the United Nations, ensuring global participation and credibility. Plutonian. Definition. Plutonian is an adjective that refers to anything related to the dwarf planet Pluto, or, more traditionally, to the Roman god Pluto, Hades in Greek mythology, who ruled the underworld. It often suggests something dark, mysterious, or underworld-like. Synonyms. Underworldly, hellish, infernal. Real-life example. The cave had a Plutonian feel, cold, dark, and eerily silent, like a gateway to another realm. Plutonian shore. Plutonian shore is a poetic phrase that originates from Edgar Allan Poe's poem The Raven. Definition. A Plutonian shore metaphorically refers to the mysterious, dark boundary between life and death, or the underworld, invoking Pluto, the Roman god of the dead. It suggests a final, shadowy destination after death. Synonyms/interpretations. The underworld, the afterlife, the land of the dead. Real-life example, literary. In The Raven, Poe writes, "Tell me what thy lordly name is on the night's Plutonian shore." Here, the narrator is asking the raven if it has come from the realm of the dead. Sobriety. Definition. Sobriety refers to the state of not being under the influence of alcohol or drugs. More broadly, it can also mean seriousness, self-control, or moderation in behavior or lifestyle. Synonyms. Abstinence, temperance, soberness. Real-life example. After struggling with addiction for years, she celebrated 5 years of sobriety with the support of her recovery group. Playing dumb. Definition. Playing dumb means pretending not to know or understand something, often to avoid responsibility, hide intentions, or manipulate a situation. Synonyms. Pretending ignorance, feigning innocence, acting clueless. Real-life example. When questioned about the missing documents, he played dumb, acting like he had no idea they even existed. Puke. Definition. Puke is an informal or slang term meaning to vomit, forcefully expel the contents of the stomach through the mouth. Synonyms. Vomit, throw up. Barf, slang. Real-life example. He felt so sick after the roller coaster ride that he had to puke in the trash can nearby. Gargle. Definition. Gargle means to wash or rinse the throat and mouth by holding liquid in the back of the throat and blowing air through it, often to clean or soothe irritation. Synonyms. Rinse, swish, gurgle, related sound. Real-life example. When she had a sore throat, her doctor advised her to gargle with warm salt water twice a day. Sass. Definition. Sass is bold, cheeky, or disrespectful speech or behavior, especially toward authority or elders. It often combines attitude with humor or defiance. Synonyms. Backtalk, impertinence, lip, slang. Real-life example. When the teacher asked him to sit down, he replied with sass, saying, "Why? Is the floor jealous?" Defiance. Definition. Defiance is bold resistance or open disobedience, especially toward authority or rules. It shows a refusal to obey or submit. Synonyms. Rebellion, disobedience, resistance. Real-life example. In defiance of the curfew, the protesters stayed in the streets late into the night, chanting for justice. Outfit. Definition. An outfit is a set of clothes worn together, typically chosen for a particular occasion or style. It can also refer to a group or organization in certain contexts, e.g., a military outfit. Synonyms, clothing meaning. Attire, ensemble. Wardrobe, real-life example. She wore a stylish outfit to the interview. Black blazer, white blouse, and tailored pants. Blazer. Definition. A blazer is a type of jacket that is more formal than a casual coat, but less formal than a suit jacket. It's often worn as part of smart casual or business attire and can be styled with various outfits. Synonyms. Sports jacket, suit jacket, dress coat. Real-life example. He paired a navy blazer with jeans and a white shirt for a polished but relaxed office look. Outfitter. Definition. An outfitter is a person or business that provides equipment, clothing, or gear, especially for outdoor activities like camping, hunting, hiking, or fishing. It can also refer to a clothing retailer. Synonyms. Gear supplier, equipment provider, clothing retailer. Real-life example. Before their mountain trek, they visited an outfitter to rent tents, backpacks, and hiking boots. Gear supplier. Definition. A gear supplier is a company or individual that provides equipment, tools, or clothing needed for specific activities, often related to sports, outdoor adventures, or technical work. Synonyms. Equipment provider, kit vendor, outfitter. Real-life example. The rescue team ordered ropes, harnesses, and helmets from a trusted gear supplier before the mountain expedition. Hooker. Definition. Hooker is an informal and often disrespectful slang term for a prostitute. A person who engages in sexual activity in exchange for money. Synonyms. Sex worker, escort, streetwalker, dated and derogatory. Real-life example. In many cities, authorities are debating how to ensure the safety and rights of sex workers, including those often labeled as hookers. Note, while hooker is commonly used in media and informal speech, it can be offensive. The more respectful and accepted term today is sex worker. Derogatory. Definition. Derogatory means expressing disrespect, criticism, or a low opinion about someone or something. It often involves language or remarks that are insulting or demeaning. Synonyms. Disparaging, insulting, demeaning. Real-life example. The manager warned the staff not to use any derogatory comments when speaking to customers or colleagues. Demeanor versus demeaning. Demeanor and demeaning sound similar, but have very different meanings. 1. Demeanor. Definition. A person's outward behavior, appearance, or manner. It refers to how someone presents themselves to others. Synonyms. Conduct, attitude, behavior. Example. She had a calm and professional demeanor during the interview. 2. Demeaning. Definition. Causing someone to feel degraded, disrespected, or less valued. It describes an action or remark that insults or humiliates someone. Synonyms. Humiliating, insulting, belittling. Example. He found the boss's joke demeaning and inappropriate for the workplace. Belittling. Definition. Belittling means making someone or something seem less important, less impressive, or less worthy, often through criticism or mocking. Synonyms. Demeaning, undermining, disparaging. Real-life example. Her constant belittling of his ideas made him lose confidence in team meetings. Lighthearted. Definition. Lighthearted describes an attitude or mood that is cheerful, carefree, and not serious. It often conveys a sense of fun or ease, free from worry or stress. Synonyms. Cheerful, playful, carefree. Real-life example. The party had a lighthearted atmosphere, with everyone laughing and enjoying themselves without a care in the world. Puke. Definition. Puke is a slang term meaning to vomit or throw up, often used informally or in a casual context. Synonyms. Vomit, throw up, barf slang. Real-life example. After the roller coaster ride, he felt so dizzy that he had to puke in the nearest trash can. Cry for help. Definition. A cry for help is an action, statement, or behavior that indicates someone is in distress and needs support emotionally, mentally, or physically. It may be direct or subtle. Synonyms. Plea for assistance. Call for support. Distress signal. Real-life example. When she posted a long, emotional message about feeling alone, her friends realized it was a cry for help and reached out immediately. Distress signal. Definition. A distress signal is a call or sign sent out to indicate danger or an urgent need for help, often in emergencies like accidents, disasters, or life-threatening situations. Synonyms. SOS. Emergency alert. Call for help. Real-life example. The sailors used a flare gun as a distress signal after their boat started sinking in the storm. SOS. Definition. SOS is an internationally recognized distress signal used to call for emergency help. It originally came from Morse code and doesn't stand for any specific words, though it's often remembered as save our souls or save our ship. Synonyms. Mayday. Emergency call. Help signal. Real-life example. When their hiking group got lost with no phone signal, they spelled out SOS with rocks in a clearing, hoping a rescue helicopter would see it. Appalling. Definition. Appalling means something extremely bad, shocking, or horrifying, often used to describe behavior, conditions, or events that cause dismay or disgust. Synonyms. Shocking, horrifying, disgusting. Real-life example. The living conditions in the abandoned shelter were appalling, with no clean water or electricity. Imbecile. Definition. Imbecile is an old-fashioned and offensive term used to describe someone as very foolish or stupid. Originally a medical term for low intelligence, it is now considered insulting and inappropriate in polite conversation. Synonyms. Idiot. Moron. Fool. Real-life example. Calling someone an imbecile during a debate is rude and undermines your own argument. Tipsy. Definition. Tipsy means slightly drunk, having consumed enough alcohol to feel lightheaded, relaxed, or unsteady, but not completely intoxicated. Synonyms. Buzzed. Lightly drunk. Merry, mild, polite. Real-life example. After 2 glasses of wine, she felt a little tipsy and started giggling at everything. Guilty as charged. Definition. Guilty as charged is an informal expression used to admit that an accusation or assumption about you is true, often used humorously or lightheartedly, though it can be serious too. Synonyms. I admit it. You got me. That's true. Real-life example. Friend, you ate the last slice of pizza, didn't you? You. Guilty as charged. Bypass. Definition. Bypass means to go around something instead of going through it, either physically, like a road or obstacle, or metaphorically, like avoiding a rule or step in a process. Synonyms. Avoid. Circumvent. Skirt. Real-life example. The engineer found a way to bypass the damaged circuit and keep the machine running. Circumvent. Definition. Circumvent means to cleverly avoid or find a way around a problem, rule, or obstacle, often by being strategic or sneaky. Synonyms. Bypass. Evade. Sidestep. Real-life example. The company tried to circumvent the new tax law by registering their business in another country. Bypass the middleman. Definition. To bypass the middleman means to eliminate intermediaries or go directly to the source, usually to save money, time, or increase control over a process or product. Synonyms. Go direct. Cut out the intermediary. Deal firsthand. Real-life example. Many farmers now sell their produce online to bypass the middleman and earn more profit. Verge. Definition. Verge refers to the edge or border of something and is often used figuratively to describe being close to a certain state or action, e.g., on the verge of tears. Synonyms. Edge. Brink. Threshold. Real-life example. She was on the verge of quitting her job after weeks of stress and overwork. In a way. Definition. In a way is a phrase used to express partial agreement, a limited truth, or a perspective that's somewhat, but not completely, true or accurate. Synonyms. To some extent. Kind of. Sort of. Real-life example. Do you think he was right? In a way, yes, but I still think he overreacted. Out of my league. Definition. Out of my league means someone or something is too good, attractive, skilled, or impressive for you to realistically attain or compete with, often used in romantic or competitive situations. Synonyms. Beyond my reach. Too good for me. Unattainable. Real-life example. He always thought the popular girl in class was out of his league, so he never asked her out. Go through. Definition. Go through can have multiple meanings depending on the context, but it generally means to experience, examine, or complete something step by step. Synonyms, based on usage. Experience, endure, suffer, face. Examine, review, inspect, analyze. Complete, carry out, follow, proceed through. Real-life examples. Experience, she had to go through a lot after losing her job. Examine, let's go through your application together. Complete, you must go through the full registration process before attending. Elicit. Definition. Elicit means to draw out a response, reaction, or piece of information from someone, often through questioning, prompting, or interaction. Synonyms. Extract. Draw out. Evoke. Real-life example. The teacher asked a thought-provoking question to elicit deeper responses from the students. Elicitation. Definition. Elicitation is the process of drawing out information, responses, or feelings, often through questioning, observation, or interaction. It's commonly used in education, interviews, intelligence gathering, and counseling. Synonyms. Extraction of information. Inquiry. Provocation in emotional contexts. Real-life example. In therapy, elicitation of a patient's feelings is key to understanding their emotional state. Scout. Definition. Scout can be a noun or a verb. As a verb, it means to search or explore for something like talent, information, or a location. As a noun, it refers to a person who performs that search, such as a talent scout or military scout. Synonyms. Explore. Search. Survey. Real-life example. The coach sent an assistant to scout for new players at the high school tournament. Probe. Definition. Probe means to investigate, explore, or examine something thoroughly, often in a detailed or questioning manner. It can also refer to a tool used for investigation. Synonyms. Investigate. Examine. Explore. Real-life example. The journalist decided to probe deeper into the corruption allegations to uncover the truth. Solicit. Definition. Solicit means to request, seek, or ask for something, especially in a formal or persistent way. It's often used in the context of asking for help, donations, business, or information. Synonyms. Request. Seek. Ask for. Real-life example. The charity organization went door to door to solicit donations for their cause. Incumbent upon. Definition. Incumbent upon means it is the responsibility or duty of someone to do something. It indicates an obligation or requirement. Synonyms. Responsibility of. Duty of. Obligatory for. Real-life example. It is incumbent upon all employees to follow the company's safety protocols. U-turn. Definition. A U-turn is a 180-degree turn to go in the opposite direction. It can be used literally in driving or figuratively to describe a complete reversal in decision, opinion, or policy. Synonyms. Reversal. Turnaround. Backtrack. Real-life example. Literal. The driver made a U-turn after missing the exit. Figurative. The government made a sudden U-turn on the policy after public backlash. To bug someone? Definition. To bug someone means to annoy, bother or irritate them, often repeatedly or persistently. It's an informal phrase commonly used in casual conversation. Synonyms: bother, annoy, pester. Real-life example: stop tapping your pen, it's really bugging me while I'm trying to concentrate. Expanse. Definition: expanse refers to a wide, open area of land, sea, sky, or space, something that stretches out broadly and often impressively. Synonyms: stretch, spread, area. Real-life example: the hikers stood in awe before the vast expanse of desert stretching to the horizon. Per se. Definition: per se means by itself or in itself. It's used to indicate that something is being considered on its own, not as part of something else. Synonyms: in itself, as such, intrinsically. Real-life example: the movie wasn't scary per se, but the music made it intense. Lashed out. Definition: lashed out means to suddenly express anger or aggression, either verbally or physically, usually in response to frustration, stress, or provocation. Synonyms: attacked, snapped, blurted out angrily. Real-life example: after being criticized in front of everyone, he lashed out at his manager with harsh words. Reckon. Definition: reckon is an informal term that means to think, believe, or suppose something. It's commonly used in conversation, particularly in British and American English. Synonyms: think, suppose, believe. Real-life example: I reckon we'll be able to finish the project by the end of the week. Reckon with. Definition: reckon with is a phrase that means to take into account or consider someone or something as a serious factor or force, especially when it poses a challenge or needs to be dealt with. Synonyms: deal with, consider, take into account. Real-life example: the company had to reckon with the rising costs of raw materials before setting their prices. A force to reckon with. Definition: a force to reckon with refers to someone or something that is powerful, influential, or impressive, and cannot be easily ignored or underestimated. Synonyms: powerful presence, imposing figure, major player. Real-life example: the new startup is quickly becoming a force to reckon within the tech industry, attracting major investors and top talent. God forbids. Definition: the phrase God forbids, more commonly said as God forbid, is an expression used to hope that something bad or undesirable does not happen. It's often used to show fear, concern, or rejection of a negative possibility. Synonyms: heaven forbid, let's hope not, I pray it doesn't happen. Real-life example: God forbid anything happens to the kids while we're away. For God's sake. Definition: for God's sake is an expression used to show frustration, urgency, or emphasis. Depending on tone and context, it can express annoyance, desperation, or strong encouragement. Synonyms: for heaven's sake, come on, seriously, informal. Real-life example: for God's sake, turn the music down, it's 2 a.m. Condescending. Definition: condescending describes a tone, attitude, or behavior where someone talks down to others, acting as if they are superior, smarter, or more important. Synonyms: patronizing, arrogant, snobbish. Real-life example: he had a condescending tone when he explained the simple task as if no one else could understand it. Ridiculous. Definition: ridiculous means something is absurd, unreasonable, laughable, or so silly that it's hard to take seriously. Synonyms: absurd, laughable, preposterous. Real-life example: wearing a winter coat in 40 degrees Celsius heat is just ridiculous. Absurd. Definition: absurd means wildly unreasonable, illogical, or inappropriate, something that doesn't make sense or goes against common sense. Synonyms: ridiculous, nonsensical, preposterous. Real-life example: it's absurd to believe that the Earth is flat despite all the scientific evidence. Hilarious. Definition: hilarious means extremely funny, something that causes a lot of laughter. Synonyms: hysterical, comical, side-splitting, real-life example. That stand-up comedy show was absolutely hilarious. I couldn't stop laughing. Line up. Definition. Line up can be used as a verb or noun and generally means to organize people or things into a straight line or arrange them in order. It can also mean to schedule or prepare something. Synonyms. Arrange, organize, schedule. Real-life example. The students lined up outside the classroom before the teacher arrived. We've lined up several speakers for tomorrow's conference. Alibi. Definition. An alibi is a claim or piece of evidence that someone was elsewhere when a crime happened, used to prove they are not guilty. More generally, it can mean any excuse or explanation for not doing something. Synonyms. Excuse, justification, defense. Real-life example. The suspect had a strong alibi. He was at a restaurant during the time of the robbery, and there was video footage to prove it. 1. Offense. Definition. A violation of a rule, law, or social norm. Synonyms. Violation, infraction, transgression. Example. Driving without a license is a legal offense. 2. Crime. Definition. An act that breaks the law and is punishable by authorities. Synonyms. Felony, misdemeanor, offense. Example. Theft is a crime punishable by imprisonment or fine. 3. Guilt. Definition. The fact of having committed a crime or a feeling of responsibility or remorse for wrongdoing. Synonyms. Blame, culpability, shame, when emotional. Example. The suspect's fingerprints on the weapon proved his guilt. 4. Guilty. Definition. Legally responsible for a criminal offense or feeling responsible for wrongdoing. Synonyms. Culpable, at fault, convicted. Example. The jury found him guilty of burglary. 5. Criminal. Definition. A person who has committed a crime. Also used as an adjective to describe unlawful acts. Synonyms. Offender, lawbreaker, felon. Example. The criminal was sentenced to 10 years in prison. Related terms. Felony. A serious crime, e.g., murder, rape, armed robbery. Example. Arson is considered a felony in most countries. Misdemeanor. A less serious crime, e.g., petty theft, public intoxication. Example. She was charged with a misdemeanor for shoplifting. Accomplice. A person who helps another commit a crime. Example. The getaway driver was an accomplice in the robbery. Conviction. A formal declaration that someone is guilty of a criminal offense. Example. His conviction was based on solid evidence. Sentence. The punishment given to someone found guilty. Example. The judge handed down a 5-year sentence. Surreal. Definition. Surreal refers to something that is bizarre, dreamlike, or beyond ordinary reality. It's often used to describe experiences or situations that feel odd, strange, or impossible, as though they belong in a dream rather than in real life. Synonyms. Dreamlike, unbelievable, otherworldly. Real-life example. The view from the mountaintop was so breathtaking that it felt surreal, like something out of a painting. Tripping. Definition. Tripping can have several meanings depending on the context. Literally, stumbling or losing your balance while walking. Slang. Acting confused, overreacting, or behaving strangely, often due to emotions or drugs. Informal. Drug-related, experiencing hallucinations or altered perception after taking psychedelic substances. Synonyms depending on meaning. Stumbling. Literal sense. Freaking out, overreacting, acting weird. Slang/emotional sense. Hallucinating. Zoning out. Drug-related. Real-life examples. Literal. She tripped on the sidewalk and dropped her groceries. Slang. He's totally tripping over nothing. It wasn't even a big deal. Drug-related. They were tripping after taking mushrooms at the festival. Cramping. Definition. Cramping refers to sudden, painful, involuntary muscle contractions. It can also describe a feeling of tightness, restriction, or discomfort in a body part or space. Synonyms: spasming, constricting, squeezing. Real-life examples. Physical: I started cramping during the run because I didn't drink enough water. Menstrual: she stayed home from school because of severe menstrual cramping. Figurative: this small room is cramping my style. I can't move freely. Go fish. Definition: go fish is a phrase commonly used in two ways. Game context: it's a card game where players ask each other for cards and say, go fish, when the requested card isn't available, meaning pick a card from the deck. Figurative or informal use: it can also mean look somewhere else or try again, often said dismissively or playfully. Synonyms: figurative use. Try again. No luck. Search elsewhere. Real-life examples. Game: do you have any sevens? Nope, go fish. Figurative: can I borrow your car? Go fish. Not today. Get this over with. Definition: get this over with means to finish something unpleasant or unwanted as soon as possible so you don't have to deal with it anymore. Synonyms: finish up. Get it done. Push through. Real-life example. I hate going to the dentist, but let's just get this over with so I can stop worrying about it. A little bit of both. Definition: a little bit of both is used to say that two different things are true or present at the same time in small or balanced amounts. Synonyms: a mix of both. Some of each. Partly this, partly that. Real-life example. Question: was it work or personal stress that made you tired? A. Honestly, a little bit of both. Meaning of: I'm just asking. Meaning: I'm just asking is a phrase people use to clarify that they're asking a question out of curiosity or concern, not to accuse, judge, or start a conflict. It can also be used to defend a harmless or innocent question. Synonyms/phrases with similar meaning. I'm only curious. No offense, just wondering. Don't take it the wrong way. Real-life example. Friend: why do you want to know who I was with last night? You: relax. I'm just asking, no big deal. Provocative. Definition: provocative describes something that causes a strong reaction, such as anger, interest, excitement, or controversy. It can be used positively, to stimulate thought or discussion, or negatively, to annoy or provoke anger. Synonyms: controversial, stimulating, inflammatory. Real-life examples. The professor gave a provocative lecture that challenged our beliefs. Her provocative comment made the meeting very tense. He wore a provocative outfit to attract attention. Meaning of deemed provocative. Deemed provocative means something is considered or judged to be provoking a strong reaction, often intentionally. Breakdown. Deemed equals judged, regarded, or considered. Provocative equals likely to cause anger, controversy, strong interest, or emotional reaction. Full meaning. If something is deemed provocative, people believe it intentionally stirs emotions, causes controversy, or pushes boundaries, either in a good way, to spark thought, or a bad way, to offend or upset. Examples. The politician's speech was deemed provocative for its harsh criticism of the government. Her painting was deemed provocative because it challenged traditional religious imagery. Castration. Definition. Castration is the removal of the testicles of a male animal or human, typically to prevent reproduction or reduce sexual behavior. It can also refer more broadly to the surgical or chemical removal or inactivation of reproductive organs. Synonyms. Neutering, commonly used for animals. Gonadectomy, medical term. Sterilization, broader term. Real-life example. In veterinary practice, male cats are often castrated to reduce aggression and prevent overpopulation. Historically, some prisoners were forcibly castrated as punishment or control. Warning note: the term is serious and often sensitive when used in human contexts, especially in discussions about punishment, gender identity, or trauma. It should be used with care and clarity. Imperialist. Definition. An imperialist is a person or a country that supports or practices imperialism, the policy of extending a nation's power and influence through colonization, military force, or political/economic control over other areas. Synonyms: colonizer, expansionist, empire builder. Real-life example. During the 19th century, Britain was seen as a leading imperialist power, controlling vast parts of Africa and Asia. Critics argue that some modern foreign policies reflect a kind of imperialist mindset, even without direct colonization. Disdain. Word: disdain. Definition: disdain is a feeling of strong dislike or disrespect towards someone or something you think is unworthy or inferior. Synonyms: contempt, scorn, disrespect. Real-life example. She looked at the cheap knockoff with disdain, refusing to buy it. He spoke with disdain about people who don't take education seriously. Reciprocate. Definition: reciprocate means to respond to an action, feeling, or gesture with a similar one, especially to show that you feel the same way or to return a favor. Synonyms: return, repay, respond. Real-life examples. She smiled at him, and he reciprocated with a warm grin. When someone shows you kindness, it's good to reciprocate the gesture. He didn't reciprocate her feelings, which made things awkward. Flip off. Definition: flip off is an informal and rude gesture where someone raises their middle finger to show anger, disrespect, or insult. It's also called flipping the bird. Synonyms: gesture meaning: give the finger, give the bird, make a rude gesture. Real-life example. He got cut off in traffic and flipped off the other driver in frustration. Warning note: this is considered offensive and vulgar, especially in formal or polite settings. It's a form of nonverbal aggression. Vulgar. Definition: vulgar refers to language, behavior, or things that are rude, offensive, crude, or lacking good taste, especially in social or polite settings. Synonyms: crude, offensive, obscene. Real-life examples. He was kicked out of the restaurant for using vulgar language in front of families. Some comedians rely on vulgar jokes to shock the audience. Wearing that shirt with a vulgar slogan isn't appropriate for school. Profanity. Definition: profanity refers to offensive, obscene, or disrespectful language, especially language that shows a lack of respect for sacred things or includes swear words, curse words. Synonyms: swearing, cursing, obscenity. Real-life examples. The movie was rated R because of strong profanity throughout. He apologized for using profanity during the meeting. Some people view taking God's name in vain as a form of profanity. Magnifying glass tilted left difference between vulgarity and profanity. Profanity often targets religion or sacred concepts or includes swear words. Vulgarity is more about bad taste or crude behavior, not necessarily religious or sacred. Use of these words depends on context. Some are common in movies or music, but are not acceptable in professional, academic, or respectful social settings. In writing or speech, you can replace vulgar or profane terms with creative, expressive, or humorous substitutes to keep it impactful but clean. Antiques. Word: antiques. Definition: antiques are old and valuable objects, often at least 100 years old, that are collected or preserved because of their historical, artistic, or cultural significance. Synonyms: relics, heirlooms, collectibles. Real-life example. My grandmother owns several antiques, including a 19th century wooden clock. Antique furniture can be worth a lot of money if it's well preserved. They visited an antique shop to buy a vintage typewriter from the 1920s. Mantelpiece clock antique. Age: typically 100 years or older. Value: often high, due to rarity, craftsmanship, and historical significance. Examples: a Victorian-era desk, a 19th century pocket watch, a 1700s porcelain vase. Red flags. Word: red flags. Definition: A red flag is a warning sign or an indicator that something may be wrong, dangerous, or suspicious. It can apply to relationships, business deals, job offers, behavior, or even health. Synonyms: warning sign, alarm bell, cautionary signal. Real-life examples. If someone avoids answering simple questions during a job interview, that's a red flag. In relationships, controlling behavior is often a red flag. A company that delays paying its employees is throwing red flags about its financial stability. Next thing you know. Phrase: next thing you know. Definition: next thing you know is an informal phrase used to describe how something happened suddenly or unexpectedly, often continuing a story or describing a quick change of events. Synonyms/similar expressions. Before I knew it. All of a sudden. Suddenly. Real-life examples. We were just talking, and next thing you know, we were dating. I stepped outside for a moment, and next thing you know, the dog was gone. He started investing small amounts, and next thing you know, he made a fortune. It's often used in storytelling to show a surprising or rapid development. Flabbergasted. Definition: to be flabbergasted means to be extremely surprised, shocked, or amazed, usually in a way that leaves you almost speechless. Synonyms: stunned, dumbfounded, astonished. Real-life example. I was flabbergasted when I found out I won the scholarship. She looked flabbergasted after hearing the unexpected news. We were all flabbergasted when he suddenly quit his job without notice. Rapid fire. Phrase: rapid fire. Definition: rapid fire refers to something happening very quickly and continuously, like a fast-paced series of actions, words, or events. It originally comes from firearms that shoot bullets quickly, but it's now often used in everyday language. Synonyms: quick succession, machine gun style, fast-paced. Real-life examples. The interviewer asked rapid-fire questions one after another. We did a rapid-fire round of vocabulary practice before the test. He made a rapid-fire series of jokes that kept everyone laughing. Crucible. Word: crucible. Definition: a crucible is a severe test, trial, or challenging situation that forces people or things to change, grow, or be revealed. It originally refers to a heat-resistant container used to melt metals at high temperatures. Synonyms: trial, ordeal, test of character. Real-life example. The military boot camp was a crucible that shaped him into a disciplined soldier. She came out of the illness stronger. It was a real crucible in her life. Starting a business with no help was a crucible of determination and grit. Pretext. Definition: a pretext is a false reason or excuse given to hide the real purpose or motive behind an action. Synonyms: excuse, cover story, false justification. Real-life examples. He used a phone call as a pretext to leave the meeting early. She visited under the pretext of borrowing sugar, but really just wanted to gossip. The government launched the attack under the pretext of national security. Insurmountable. Word: insurmountable. Definition: insurmountable means too great or difficult to overcome, something that seems impossible to solve, deal with, or get past. Synonyms: unbeatable, overwhelming, hopeless. Real-life examples. They faced what seemed like an insurmountable amount of debt. Climbing the mountain felt insurmountable, but they never gave up. She overcame insurmountable odds to graduate from university. It's often used to describe challenges, obstacles, or problems that feel impossible, but not always are. Daunting. Word: daunting. Definition: daunting means something that feels intimidating, overwhelming, or discouraging, especially because it seems difficult or scary to deal with. Synonyms: intimidating, overwhelming, discouraging. Real-life examples. Starting a new job in a foreign country can be daunting. Public speaking is daunting for many people. The idea of writing a 100-page thesis felt daunting at first. Oscillation. Word: oscillation. Definition: Oscillation refers to movement back and forth at a regular speed, like a swinging pendulum or a repeated change between two states or opinions. Synonyms: swinging, fluctuation, vibration. Real-life examples. The fan's oscillation helps cool the whole room. Her oscillation between confidence and doubt made it hard to decide. Stock prices showed daily oscillations due to market instability. Cherish. Word, cherish. Definition. To cherish means to deeply value, love, or hold something or someone dear. It can also mean to care for or protect something emotionally or physically. Synonyms: treasure, appreciate, adore. Real-life examples. I will always cherish the memories of our childhood. She cherishes the necklace her grandmother gave her. He cherishes every moment spent with his children. It's a warm, emotional word often used to express strong affection or appreciation. Amicable resolution. Phrase: amicable resolution. Definition. An amicable resolution refers to a peaceful, friendly, and cooperative settlement or agreement, usually to end a disagreement or conflict without hostility or legal action. Synonyms: peaceful agreement, friendly settlement, mutual understanding. Real-life examples. The couple reached an amicable resolution and finalized their divorce without going to court. After the dispute with the landlord, they came to an amicable resolution and renewed the lease. The two companies avoided a lawsuit by negotiating an amicable resolution. It's often used in legal, diplomatic, or relationship contexts to highlight cooperation and mutual respect. Amicable. Word, amicable. Definition. Amicable means friendly, peaceful, and without anger or conflict, especially when referring to relationships or agreements, even if there was disagreement before. Synonyms: friendly, harmonious, cordial. Real-life examples. They had an amicable breakup and remained friends. The meeting ended on an amicable note, with both sides shaking hands. Despite the divorce, their relationship stayed amicable for the children's sake. Tip. Amicable usually describes the tone or quality of interactions, not a person's personality. For that, you'd use amiable. Amicable. Word, amicable. Definition. Amicable describes a friendly, peaceful, or cooperative attitude or outcome, especially when resolving a disagreement or handling a difficult situation without hostility. Synonyms: friendly, peaceable, civil. Real-life examples. Their divorce was surprisingly amicable, with no legal battles. We had an amicable discussion and agreed to go separate ways. The labor strike ended in an amicable agreement between workers and management. Intertwined. Word, intertwined. Definition. Intertwined means closely connected or twisted together, either physically, like ropes or threads, or figuratively, like ideas, lives, or histories that are linked. Synonyms: interwoven, entangled, connected. Real-life examples. Their fingers were intertwined as they walked hand in hand. The history of the two nations is deeply intertwined. Technology and education are now intertwined in modern classrooms. It's often used in both emotional and intellectual contexts. Let me know if you want a poetic or metaphorical use. Amiable. Word, amiable. Definition. Amiable means friendly, pleasant, and good-natured, describing someone who is easy to like and gets along well with others. Synonyms: friendly, good-natured, kind. Real-life examples. She's an amiable host who makes everyone feel at home. Despite the tough situation, he remained calm and amiable. The teacher's amiable personality made the class enjoyable. Quick tip. Amiable equals describes a person's character or behavior. Amicable equals describes interactions or relationships, especially during conflict resolution. Lamenting. Word, lamenting. Definition. Lamenting means expressing sorrow, grief, or regret, often in a heartfelt or emotional way. It can refer to mourning a loss or being sad about something that happened. Synonyms: mourning, grieving, regretting. Real-life examples: she was lamenting the death of her beloved pet. Many are lamenting the loss of traditional values in modern society. He spent the evening lamenting his missed opportunity. It can be used emotionally, after a loss, or reflectively, regretting a past decision. Lamentation. Word: lamentation. Definition: lamentation is the act of expressing deep sorrow, grief, or mourning, often in a vocal or dramatic way. It can also refer to a passionate expression of regret or loss. Synonyms: mourning, wailing, sorrow. Real-life examples: the streets were filled with cries of lamentation after the tragic event. Her letter was a heartfelt lamentation for her lost youth. In ancient times, lamentation was often performed as a ritual for the dead. Bonus note: the Book of Lamentations in the Bible expresses sorrow over the destruction of Jerusalem. Lingering. Word: lingering. Definition: lingering describes something that remains or lasts longer than expected, especially feelings, smells, memories, or effects. It often carries a sense of slowness or unwillingness to end. Synonyms: persistent, lasting, fading slowly. Real-life examples: she felt a lingering sadness even weeks after the breakup. The lingering scent of her perfume stayed in the room. There was a lingering doubt in his mind about the decision. It's often used with emotions, smells, illnesses, or effects. Let me know if you want metaphorical or poetic uses too. A scapegoat. Word: scapegoat. Definition: a scapegoat is a person or group who is unfairly blamed for the mistakes, faults, or problems of others. Synonyms: fall guy, patsy, victim. Real-life examples: the manager became a scapegoat for the team's failure, even though the problem was company-wide. Politicians sometimes use immigrants as scapegoats for economic problems. In ancient rituals, a literal goat was used as a scapegoat to carry the sins of the people. Batter. Word: batter. Definition: batter has two main meanings depending on the context. Verb: to strike repeatedly with force, often to cause damage. Noun: a mixture of flour, eggs, and liquid used in cooking, especially for pancakes or coating food before frying. Synonyms for the verb: pound, beat, strike. Real-life examples: the storm battered the coastline, causing severe flooding. He was arrested for battering his neighbor during an argument. She dipped the chicken in batter before frying it to golden perfection. Realize. Word: realize. Definition: to realize means to become aware of or understand something clearly, often suddenly or after thinking. It can also mean to achieve or fulfill something, especially a goal or idea. Synonyms for awareness meaning: understand, comprehend, recognize. Real-life examples: I didn't realize how late it was until I looked at the clock. She realized her dream of becoming a doctor. He finally realized the importance of saving money. Pending. Word: pending. Definition: pending means awaiting a decision, outcome, or completion, something that has not yet been settled or finalized. Synonyms: awaiting, undecided, imminent. Real-life examples: her visa application is still pending approval. The court's decision remains pending until next week. There are several pending issues we need to resolve before launching the project.